All right. So hi, my name is Mikhail Sarlagi. Today I'm going to be presenting my research at the Energy Coordinating Agency, as well as on heat pumps and urban extreme heat, as mentioned by Kristen Field. So thank you for this opportunity. Thank you to Professor Helmler for this opportunity as well. And thank you to Walter and Lisa for being my supervisors during this time. But yeah, let's get right into it. Um, so yeah, like Colby, I was researching a lot of Philadelphia urban heat. So Philadelphia, like other urban cities in the US, has been experiencing record temperatures um, so much recently in the summer. So for example, in 2022, they experienced a 10-year record temperature of around 99 degrees Fahrenheit, leading to the death of 5 people across a hot week in July. And yeah, this is because Philadelphia is an urban heat island, trapping heat through concrete and asphalt, which can raise peak temperatures by 2 to 5 degrees Fahrenheit. This is, yeah, again, due to things like albedo increasing the absorption of heat in the city. There's not as much greenery and shade around, and things that can help out. Yeah, and again, Hunting Park can be one of the hottest blocks in Philly, and this also coincides again with the most vulnerable populations. And so this is why some of the work that ECA is doing with low-income housing is really needed, especially in Philadelphia. So my interest of ECA. So Energy Coordinating Agency provides HVAC and weatherization services to low-income communities across Philadelphia. And they also train citizens from this community to receive certifications for weatherization practices to become technicians. This is in a series of green trainings, particularly, I think, green renovation retrofit and then green renovation innovation technologies. And so they receive yearly grants to do this from the Interstate Renewable Energy Council, IREC, which needed to be outlined in the IREC annual report. And so this is what I helped with. So I detailed any changes in the 3 courses which received IREC funding. So this included weatherization installation technician, energy auditor, and quality control inspector. I was noting things like, syllabus changes, class amount changes, hybrid, just any course changes overall. And so that was one of my main duties. And I used Salesforce at ECA to do this. Now, ECA's efforts to combat heat. So ECA currently runs a free AC program to people living at 150 or 200% of the poverty line. Note that the poverty line in Philadelphia right now is about $19,337. And so this is using government assistance from LIHEAP, which is the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program. Basically, how the program works is that ECA provides a free AC to these from low income areas who are also particularly vulnerable to this urban extreme heat. And so while this is a temporary solution, because obviously AC isn't the be all end all, it's still very good for these pressing times in terms of extreme heat during the summer. So the pros and cons of window AC. So the pros are that you can quickly cool a home. You can evenly distribute air across multiple rooms, and then you can also filter indoor air quality to reduce allergens. But the cons, however, is that they use a lot of electricity. Air heat pumps are 175 to 300% more efficient. And it might be a bit obvious, but they can only cool down homes. So it needs to be paired with an annual heater or like an electric heater, obviously. Not anyways, an average electric furnace price is $4,700. And then operating costs can be expensive year after year. So if you're paying about an average $100 a year over 15 years, that adds up to $1,500 over time. And obviously that's not factored in with the initial cost. Now, I wanted to provide a bit of a background on heat pumps. So heat pumps are a new energy efficient way to provide both heating and cooling for homes through air, water, or geothermal sources. And so these are a couple examples of systems that you can use. So the most common you're going to find in Philadelphia is a single zone ductless, which would be an air supported heat pump. It'll be in a single room. You're going to have an indoor unit and you're going to have an outdoor unit. It supports around 12,000 BTUs, and on average, I believe houses are between 8,000 and 16,000. So, oh yeah, I should be around here. So you're going to have most houses be able to support it by 12,000 BTUs. You're also going to have a refrigerant line at 50 feet. The zones are more expensive and they're multi-room setups. This would be more common in more suburban areas with much more need for more BTUs. And so basically it's just a more expensive unit. So how does a heat pump work? So this is an example of how heating a room would work, because it can also do cooling, is that you'll take in a refrigerant such as like R434B, which is actually not a hydrofluorocarbon. Previous refrigerants like R134, I believe, were providing damage to the ozone layer. So this is a new one that has a boiling point of negative 55 degrees Fahrenheit, which is really good because you need it to evaporate. So anyways, if you're providing heating, it's going to be cold outside. So you're going to have heat come in because heat is drawn to the very cold refrigerant. And then as a result, the temperature goes up, evaporating this refrigerant. And then it's compressed down into a high pressure vapor that then is condensing throughout these coils over here. So then these coils have a room fan that go over them, and it loses a bit of its thermal energy, but that thermal energy is processed in the room you're heating. And so then down here, you still have a high pressure, slightly low temperature refrigerant, which then expands, losing the pressure. So then you come back and you have like a low pressure, low temperature liquid vapor mixture. And yeah, I guess the big thing to take away is that you're much more transferring heat rather than, say, creating heat in like a traditional heater. And so that's why these systems can be so much more efficient. On average, I believe you save about $900 a year on heating and cooling. So that can add up over a couple of years. And so the pros and cons of heat pumps is that, again, you can both heat and cool a home with one system. You're much more efficient than AC or gas boilers, which is 75 to 300%. And then you also have minimal upkeep. I guess in small cases, you only need to be checked 1 or 2 times a year, but for the most part, it's just minimal upkeep. Now, cons is that the initial price can be more expensive than window AC or gas boilers, on average $4,000 to $8,000, which is typically the caveat you have to pay with new sustainable green technology. I wanted to address this, but it does not do well in climates that frequently go below freezing. This isn't as much of an issue nowadays due to the refrigerant I was talking about previously, unless you're in a climate that gets very close to negative 55 Fahrenheit, then I think you have bigger issues to worry about. But yeah, so it for the most part, it should be working fine. And then obviously it cannot function without electricity. It's an electric heat pump. And so that's just something you have to consider versus something like a gas boiler. And so ECA's heat pump process. So ECA it's really cool because they managed to install heat pumps at no cost to homeowners at the poverty line through a grant from Congressman Dwight Evans. And so this grant enables a 3-year program in which ECA students work with seasoned HVAC contractors to install 65 heat pumps across 2 years. So they spend this time, installing heat pumps across low-income homes. And then in the 3rd year, they perform checkups on these heat pumps to make sure that everything is running smoothly. And then they also are searching for jobs in the meantime, developing both the community's workforce and infrastructure. And then this is also a stat I wanted to include, which is just that 25.7% of Philadelphians live below the poverty line, the annual income of $19,337, which is about 400,000 residents in the city. And I believe proportionally, this is some of the worst in the United States, which especially shows how much of this is a pressing issue when it comes to extreme heat in Philadelphia. My goal at ECA in specific was that I wanted to see how ECA could increase the use of heat pumps in low-income areas following their tax incentives in the Inflation Reduction Act. This is an example of some of the text I was looking through. It was pretty wordy, so I couldn't imagine someone who was just doing their own research having a good time looking through this, but I just wanted to provide an example. And then, here's some more info on the Inflation Reduction Act. So the Inflation Reduction Act was passed in late 2022, reviewing and renewing many tax laws, particularly in renewable energy. So this includes things like solar and wind, but it also includes home appliances that reduce one's carbon footprint. This includes things like weatherization, insulation, and heat pumps. And so this is where I got the inspiration to perform research on the IRA's heat pump tax credit, which gives either back 30% or up to $2,000 in initial cost of the heat pump. And so the heat pump tax credit. So to use this heat pump tax credit, you have to fill out IRS form 5695 to reduce the point of purchase heat pump price. But then in Philadelphia, due to the compact nature of the city, most heat pump installations will heat and cool using an air-based system versus water geothermal. This is just due to the nature of the city having a lot going on the ground, whether it be, sewers, water lines, electric lines, etc. So just more feasible to use an air-based system. It's also cheaper. And then these installations are on average from $4,000 to $8,000, which one can currently reduce by a maximum of $4,000 or a maximum of $2,000 through this tax credit. Although one thing you have to notice is that this can only be used in April during tax season. So you cannot have this apply right at the point of purchase, which is one of the main issues when it comes to low-income communities using this tax credit. So this leads right into my next slide, where my idea was to transfer this tax credit to the heat pump installation business to make the point of purchase price directly cheaper. So what I wanted to do with regards to transferability in the Inflation Reduction Act is have this tax credit apply under Section 45 or 48, which would be a clean electricity production or investment tax credit. What this would mean would be that the installation businesses would instead be taking on the debt of the heat pump tax credit. That way, people who maybe don't qualify for ECA's low-income poverty line business, and they can still receive the benefits of this price, and then these businesses can redeem this tax credit later on, and they maybe have the wherewithal to deal with a little bit of debt in the meantime. So it would just be an easier way for these people who maybe still need this tax credit but don't have the ability to wait until April to redeem it. And so this required me to find out whether the heat pump tax credit was transferable to businesses, to which I inquired about to several congressional offices. These are three of the numbers I looked at. These are all responding to Dwight Evans' congressional district. And so these are just the three offices that I looked at. But I actually ended up going through 4 congressional offices, calling each one to find the transferability of heat pumps, 3 belonging to Dwight Evans and 1 belonging to Brendan Boyle. So they represent the 3rd and 1st congressional districts of Pennsylvania, respectively. And so as a result, I had to request both a congressional inquiry, review legislation, and a request for help from federal agency in Dwight Evans' office. Because basically the response I received every time was, oh, that's pretty neat. We've never had anyone call about that before. So I'll have to get back to you on that. So then I had to find out the info a little bit later. So it was a little bit hard to find this info. But then finally I got a response, and the response was that the credits were not transferable from homeowners to businesses. So they said, currently, a transfer of applicable tax credits, generally IRC Section 25C or D, is not allowed. Allowing these tax credits to be transferred could be administratively difficult as they're currently structured on per taxpayer limits and cover multiple types of property. What this means is that the tax credit applied for heat pumps is defined under the same section as things such as doors and windows and flooring. So then making heat pumps transferable would also have these other tax credits be transferable, which, while it would be great, is not in, at least like my wheelhouse. It's not exactly what I was intending on. So in the meantime, that means that homeowners would have to wait until tax season to redeem their tax credits. But for next steps with this, so I wanted to give some more info on options in the future. So I created a handout for people who wanted to learn more about heat pumps and their respective tax benefits from the Inflation Reduction Act. So here I detail 2 options available when either using the current heat pump tax credit or to wait for the heat pump rebates expected in early 2024. So these heat pump rebates I'm talking about come through the High Efficiency Electric Home Rebate Act, the HEFRA, I guess. And so low income and medium income homeowners, which would be moderate income, would be 80 to 150% of the median income in your area. And then low income would be below 80%. It would allow you to claim up to $8,000 in instant heat pump rebates. And so this would mean that at the point of purchase, you could redeem this rather than having to wait for a tax credit, which is great. This is exactly what I wanted to happen. And so then, yeah, moderate income would earn instead 4,000 because they're making a little bit more money. And so here I gave two options, option one or option two. You can see that these incentives compound $900 a year saved through the efficiency of electric heat pumps. I gave a little background on heat pump as well as a little graphic outlining what's going to be installed in your household. And then I created a decision tree outlining whether to use the current heat pump tax credit or wait for the future heat pump rebate. So you can see here, it says I need a heat pump now, or I can wait. It's a little bit hard to see on the screen, so apologies. But yeah, so this is just two different options that you could use. And yeah, I can put these up at some point and hand them out. But yeah, I believe that's it. Thank you. And yeah, I'd like to thank my mentor, Kristen Field, for counseling my time at ECA, and Professor Andrew Humler for connecting me to this enlightening research project, as well as my bosses, Walter and Lisa, for providing me the time and tools to engage and understand ECA's green training program, as well as being eager to explain ECA's light heat and heat pump programs. So thank you.